My beloved child, pause for a breath, because this moment was arranged for you. Your name has just been spoken in the unseen realm, softly yet firmly, and Archangel Michael has been sent with a message that cannot wait. This is not random. This is not another voice in the noise. This is a divine interruption, placed in your path because the walls around your home are sensing something before your mind does. Listen carefully. There is a silent issue forming near the place where you rest, pray, and dream. Not to frighten you, but to awaken you. God is not a God of panic. He is a God of preparation. And what heaven says, act now. It is always because grace has gone ahead of you. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian at thresholds, doors, homes, boundaries. And right now, he is pointing, not accusing, not condemning, but revealing. There is something subtle, almost invisible, that has been trying to gain access to your peace. It does not crash in loudly. It whispers. It waits. It studies patterns. That is why this message came urgently, calling you by name. Beloved, heaven does not rush without reason. When minutes feel short, it means timing matters. You are not late. You are not behind. You are precisely on time to hear this. God saw something approaching long before you did, and instead of allowing confusion, he released instruction. Archangel Michael is reminding you of authority you forgot you carry. The authority to speak over your home. The authority to close spiritual doors that were open unknowingly. The authority to notice what you've been brushing off as small or temporary. Nothing near your dwelling is insignificant to God. There has been a feeling lately, hard to explain. A sight unease. A disruption in rest. Maybe conversations at home feel heavier. Maybe objects break more often than usual. Maybe your spirit has felt unsettled at night. These are not coincidences. They are signals, not of doom, but of discernment awakening. Hear this clearly. God is not saying something bad will happen. God is saying something can be prevented. Archangel Michael does not come after loss. He comes before it. He does not announce chaos, he announces alignment. And right now, alignment is required in your home, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. There is a call to act, but action does not mean fear-driven movement. It means intentional obedience. It means checking what you've ignored. It means praying where you once assumed things were fine. It means blessing rooms you only sleep in. It means speaking peace where silence has lingered too long. Beloved child, your home is more than a building. It is a spiritual environment. What you allow in thought, in speech, in media, in visitors, it all shapes the atmosphere. Archangel Michael is drawing your attention to this, not to burden you, but to empower you. God says, act now, because obedience now saves energy later. A small shift today prevents a heavy weight tomorrow. This is mercy speaking early. There is also something deeply personal in this call. Archangel Michael is not addressing the crowd. He is addressing you. Something about your household assignment has made it noticeable in the spiritual realm. Light attracts attention. Purpose attracts inspection. And because you carry something valuable, protection has been intensified. Do not underestimate prayer spoken out loud in your home. Do not underestimate worship played softly in the background. Do not underestimate declaring scripture over doorways, beds, and windows. These are not rituals. They are reminders of ownership. Beloved, God is not asking you to do everything. He is asking you to do the first thing. Acknowledge Him in your space. Invite his order. To beacon peace. Ask for clarity. Archangel Michael stands ready to reinforce every word aligned with heaven. This message came instantly because response matters. Delay dulls discernment, but awareness sharpens it. You are aware now, which means you are already protected more than you realize. Take comfort in this. Nothing hidden can outrun God's light. Nothing subtle can bypass his watch. Nothing near your home has more authority than the name of the Lord spoken with faith. Beloved soul, now that your spirit is awake, let us go deeper into what heaven is revealing. Awareness is the first door, but understanding is the second. Archangel Michael is not only a messenger of warning, he is a commander of order. When he draws attention to your home, it is because heaven is recalibrating something that drifted quietly out of alignment. There are seasons when danger does not arrive as an event, but as a slow erosion. Small compromises, ignored nudges, repeated distractions. God is showing you that something has been attempting to weaken the spiritual perimeter of your household, not through force, but through familiarity. When something feels normal for too long, we stop questioning it. That is where vigilance fades. That is where heaven intervenes. Archangel Michael is reminding you that your home has gates. Spiritual gates. Emotional gates. Mental gates. What enters through these gates determines what multiplies inside. God has seen something trying to enter through one of these openings. Something disguised as harmless, something that arrived gradually. And because God loves you too much to stay silent, he said, "Call them now." You may have noticed patterns repeating that you thought were random. Tension without cause. Fatigue that sleep does not fix. A heaviness that settles especially when you are at home. These are not punishments. They are indicators. Like warning lights on a dashboard, they are designed to protect you, not shame you. Hear this gently. God is not accusing you of failure. He is inviting you into authority. Archangel Michael stands as a warrior of light, but also as a teacher of boundaries. He teaches you where to say no, where to speak up, where to anoint your space with prayer instead of assumption. Some doors were not kicked open. They were left unlocked. And today, God is simply asking you to close them with intention. This is why timing matters. Heaven does not reveal danger when it is already too late. Heaven reveals it when action still changes outcomes. You still have room to respond. You still have power to shift the atmosphere. You still have protection actively surrounding you. There is also something important you must understand. Not every threat looks dark. Some look familiar. Some look like habits. Some look like people who overstayed their season. Some look like voices you trust but should no longer obey. Discernment is not about suspicion. It is about alignment. Archangel Michael is helping you discern without fear. Fear clouds judgment, but peace sharpens it. That is why God says, "Act now, not panic now." Action guided by peace produces protection. Action driven by fear produces exhaustion. Heaven is offering you the first, not the second. Take a moment and reflect. What has God been nudging you to aggress in your home that you kept postponing? What conversation keeps resurfacing in your heart? What change have you delayed because it felt uncomfortable? That is often where obedience begins. Your home is meant to be a refuge, not a battlefield. But even refuges require maintenance. Walls must be strengthened. Foundations must be checked. Light must be let in. Archangel Michael does not repair for you. He empowers you to stand with him. There is grace in this moment. Grace to clean spiritually. Grace to reset emotionally. grace to realign priorities within your household. You are not alone in this process. Heaven is actively partnering with you. As this message reaches you, there is a covering being reinforced around your dwelling. Angels are attentive to your response, not because God is demanding performance, but because obedience activates assistance. When you move, heaven moves with you. If this message is resonating, do not keep it to yourself. Let others know what you are sensing. Like this message so it reaches those who are also being warned in love. Share it with someone who needs clarity right now. Comment with what stood out to you, because speaking it out seals awareness. And make sure you are connected here by subscribing, so you do not miss what heaven continues to release through this channel. Hold on, because what is about to be revealed next brings clarity to the exact area God is asking you to focus on. This is where confusion breaks and direction becomes clear. Chosen one, what you are sensing now is confirmation settling into your spirit. Archangel Michael is not only revealing what is approaching, he is revealing where it is trying to attach. God never exposes without intention. Exposure is mercy in motion. And right now, mercy is standing inside your home, asking for your agreement. There is a specific area of vulnerability that heaven wants you to recognize. Not to magnify it, but to heal it. Many times, danger does not come from outside first. It looks for an internal echo. A place where fatigue, disappointment, where distraction made room. That is why this message feels personal. Because it is. Archangel Michael is drawing your attention to the spiritual atmosphere of your household. Atmosphere is shaped daily by words, emotions, and focus. What is repeatedly spoken becomes permission. What is repeatedly ignored becomes invitation. God is gently saying that something spoken casually or aloud emotionally has been feeding the wrong energy. This does not mean you are careless. It means you are human. Even the strongest believers grow tired. Even faithful hearts get stretched thin. And in those moments, small cracks appear. But hear this clearly. Cracks are not collapse points when light enters them. God is asking you to become intentional again. Intentional with your words at home. Intentional with what you allow to play in the background. Intentional with conversations that drain instead of build. Intentional with silence where prayer should be. These are not heavy demands. They are protective adjustments. Archangel Michael is reminding you that your home responds to your authority. When you speak peace, peace listens. When you declare order, confusion leaves. When you call the name of the Lord, nothing unauthorized can remain comfortable. You may have wondered why certain disturbances felt stubborn, why prayer felt delayed, why rest felt shallow. This was not because God was absent. It was because heaven was waiting for your awareness to rise to a new level. Awareness changes posture. Posture changes outcomes. There is also something deeply comforting here. The very fact that you receive this warning means you are covered. God does not warn those he has abandoned. He warns those he protects. He speaks urgently to those he values. Archangel Michael stands not as a symbol, but as an assignment. Assigned to reinforce boundaries. Assigned to stand guard where you invite him. Assigned to respond when you act in obedience. Heaven is not distant from your daily life. It is integrated when you acknowledge it. Now is the moment to speak life over your home. Not hurriedly, not mechanically, but with presence. Walk through your space with gratitude. Thank God out loud. Invite his peace intentionally. Declare that no hidden plan, no subtle influence, no lingering heaviness has permission to stay. God is shifting something as you listen. A reset is happening. What was forming quietly is losing momentum. What was approaching is being redirected, not because of fear, but because of alignment. Remember this: danger loses power when it is named in the presence of God. Darkness does not argue, it retreats. Confusion does not negotiate, it dissolves. Peace does not struggle, it settles. Archangel Michael is standing watch as you respond. You are not doing this alone. Heaven is leaning in. Type "I claim divine covering" in the comments if this message is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 914 has just been released. This is the moment where God is inviting you beyond listening into partnership. What you are receiving here is not entertainment. It is light being poured into homes across the world. Every message released becomes a doorway of protection for someone who did not even know they needed it yet. I hear the Lord saying, as you sow into this work, you become a gatekeeper of light for others. Just as oil was poured to keep the lamps burning, your support keeps these warnings, teachings, and coverings flowing to those standing on the edge of danger. When you choose to support through super thanks, membership, or PayPal from the link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are responding to a call. You are placing seed into ground that carries protection, revelation, and rescue. The word says that those who water will themselves be watered. I declare that as you give, every place in your home that needed reinforcement will be strengthened. Every unseen battle will receive divine backup. Every act of obedience will return as peace. Do not delay what God is prompting now. Act as the Spirit leads you. Support this mission with confidence, because heaven honors those who help keep the light burning. Beloved child, as the atmosphere shifts, there is a deeper layer God now wants to uncover. Archangel Michael is not finished speaking, because protection is not only about stopping what is approaching, it is about strengthening what remains. Heaven does not only block danger, it restores stability. And right now, restoration is beginning quietly within your space. There is a truth many overlook. When God warns you, He is also entrusting you. Entrusting you with discernment, with authority, with responsibility over what He has given you. Your home is one of those sacred trusts. It carries memories, prayers, tears, laughter, and promises yet to be fulfilled. That is why heaven takes it seriously. Archangel Michael is drawing your attention to patterns that repeat when you least expect them. Moments when peace suddenly drains. Conversations that escalate faster than they should. Thoughts that circle late at night without resolution. These patterns are not random. They are indicators of pressure points where the enemy attempts access, not to destroy instantly, but to wear down gradually. God is saying this clearly: endurance without adjustment leads to exhaustion. But endurance with alignment leads to victory. You have been strong for a long time. You have held things together when others did not see the strain. You have protected your household emotionally, spiritually, and practically. Heaven has seen that. And because of that faithfulness, God is now inviting you to strengthen yourself, not just survive. Archangel Michael stands beside those who are tired, but willing. The message now is not about urgency alone. It is about sustainability. God wants your home to be a place where peace stays, not just visits. This is where inner alignment matters. What you carry inside eventually shapes what surrounds you. If anxiety has been normalized, it must now be confronted. If silence has replaced prayer, it must now be broken gently. If distraction has dulled sensitivity, focus must be restored. There is no condemnation in this call, only invitation. God is asking you to reclaim spiritual rhythms. Simple ones, consistent ones, moments of stillness, spoken gratitude, intentional rest. These are not small acts, they are stabilizers. They anchor your home in peace. Archangel Michael is also reminding you that not every battle is fought head-on. Some are won by withdrawal, by removing access, by changing routines, by saying no where you once said yes out of habit. Wisdom often looks quiet, but its results are loud. There is also a call here to guard unity. Division weakens protection. Even subtle misunderstandings can create openings if left unattended. God is encouraging honest communication, softened by grace. Restoration is easier than repair, and now is the moment for it. You may feel prompted to cleanse, not just physically, but spiritually. Letting go of items, media, or influences that no longer serve peace. This is not superstition, it is sensitivity. When God highlights something, it is because it carries weight beyond what you can see. Archangel Michael is not asking you to overanalyze. He is asking you to listen. Trust the nudges. Trust the discomfort that leads to clarity. Trust the peace that follows obedience. There is a covering forming over your household as you align. Angels respond to order. Heaven flows where authority is exercised calmly. You do not need to shout to be heard. You need to stand. God is also restoring your confidence. Fear makes you doubt your discernment. Peace confirms it. The fact that you are still here, listening, means peace is already taking ground. As this message continues, something is settling. The sense of threat is giving way to understanding. Understanding gives way to confidence. Confidence gives way to authority. This is the progression God intended. Remember this. Your home was chosen to be a place of refuge, not because it is perfect, but because it is positioned. Positioned for healing. Positioned for protection. Positioned for testimony. Archangel Michael remains on assignment. But so do you. And you are fully equipped for what comes next. Beloved one, there is a calm strength rising now, and that is not accidental. Archangel Michael does not only respond to threats, he responds to readiness. What you are feeling is not relief alone, it is positioning. Heaven is shifting you from alert mode into authority mode, where fear no longer leads and clarity takes its place. God is showing you that protection is not just about what you block, but about what you build. A strong home is not merely defended, it is established. Established in truth. Established in peace. Established in presence. And this is the stage you are entering now. There has been a quiet question in your heart. How do I keep this peace from slipping away again? God heard that before you finished forming the words. The answer is simpler than you expect, but it requires consistency rather than intensity. You do not need dramatic moments every day. You need aligned moments. Archangel Michael is revealing that some of the vulnerability around your home was connected to neglecting the simple in pursuit of the urgent. When life becomes loud, the gentle disciplines are the first to go. Yet those gentle practices are what stabilize everything else. This is why God is calling you to presence over pressure, to awareness over anxiety, to attention over reaction. Your home responds to what you repeatedly invite. If stress is constantly entertained, it multiplies. If gratitude is spoken often, it expands. If faith is practiced quietly, it fortifies. These are spiritual laws, not opinions. There is also something deeply personal being addressed now. You have carried responsibility that was never meant to rest entirely on you. You felt it was your duty to hold everything together, to anticipate every problem, to absorb every shock. God is gently releasing you from that weight. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that you are not the sole guardian. Heaven partners with you. You do not need to foresee everything. You need to stay aligned with the one who does. God is asking you to rest without disengaging. Rest that trusts. Rest that does not scan constantly for danger. Because vigilance rooted in fear drains, but vigilance rooted in faith sustains. There is also a healing happening in how you perceive safety. Safety is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of God in the midst of life. When His presence is acknowledged daily, fear loses its authority to dominate your thoughts. Your home is learning peace again. You may notice the energy feels lighter. Conversations soften. Sleep deepens. Even if circumstances have not changed yet, the atmosphere has. An atmosphere always changes outcomes before outcomes become visible. Archangel Michael is reinforcing your perimeter, but God is strengthening your center. Because a strong center resists intrusion naturally. This is also a season of discernment refinement. You will notice you sense things earlier now. You feel when something does not belong. You recognize when peace is being disturbed. This is not hyper-awareness, it is maturity. Do not dismiss that discernment. It is a gift sharpened by obedience. The more you honor it, the clearer it becomes. God is also aggressing trust. Not trust in people alone, but trust in His guidance through you. You are allowed to trust what He shows you. You are allowed to act without over-explaining yourself. Obedience does not always require consensus. Archangel Michael stands with those who move quietly but firmly. Those who adjust without announcement. Those who protect without panic. That is the posture heaven honors. As you continue to align, you are becoming a stabilizing presence for others in your home. Your peace influences more than your words ever could. When you choose calm, it spreads. When you choose faith, it anchors. This part of the journey is not dramatic, but it is powerful. It is where foundations are reinforced so future storms do not shake what has been established. It is where protection becomes permanent rather than reactive. God is pleased with your response so far. Not because you did everything perfectly, but because you responded willingly. Willing hearts are easy for heaven to work with. And as this message unfolds further, something more will be revealed. Something that explains why your home, specifically, matters so much in this season. Beloved child, what God is unveiling now explains why the alert around your home became so intense. Archangel Michael does not guard ordinary assignments with extraordinary focus. There is something connected to your household that reaches beyond comfort and routine. Your home is not only a place of rest, it is a point of influence. Heaven is showing that your home carries a spiritual imprint. Whether you realized it or not, prayers have been spoken there that did not fall to the ground. Tears shed that were counted. Decisions made their shifted timelines. That is why resistance tried to study your patterns. That is why the warning came early. Purpose always attracts attention. Archangel Michael is revealing that protection was activated not because danger was stronger, but because calling was greater. What you host determines what tries to interfere. And what you host in this season is alignment with God's will. There are moments when God hides people, and moments when He highlights them. Your home has entered a highlighted season. Not for exposure to harm, but for expansion of impact. Heaven expands influence only after securing foundations. That is why this message feels layered and intentional. You may have noticed others feel peace when they enter your space, where conversations shift toward honesty without effort. Or people open up unexpectedly. These are signs. God uses environments as much as individuals, and your environment has been marked. Archangel Michael is standing watch not just for defense but for preservation. Preservation of clarity, preservation of unity, preservation of purpose. The enemy does not need to destroy what he can distract. That is why focus hath been such a battleground lately. God is calling you back into centered living, not rushed, not scattered, not pulled in 10 directions. When your attention is divided, your authority feels diluted. When your attention is aligned, your authority becomes unmistakable. There is also a reminder here about agreement. Agreement within a home multiplies strength. Disagreement does not need to be allowed to weaken alignment. It only needs to linger unresolved. God is inviting resolution where possible, release where necessary, and peace where agreement cannot yet be reached. Archangel Michael does not demand perfection in relationships. He reinforces order. Order allows peace to remain even when opinions differ. Archangel's love does not leak out through unresolved tension. You are also being reminded that your words carry weight. Not just prayers, but everyday speech. Repeated statements shape atmosphere. If stress is constantly named, it gains influence. If faith is named, it establishes ground. God is inviting you to speak with awareness, not restriction. This does not mean suppressing emotion. It means processing emotion in God's presence before releasing it into your environment. What is processed becomes healed. What is projected becomes multiplied. Archangel Michael is helping you recognize when to pause instead of react. Reaction is fast, but wisdom is timely. Heaven moves at the speed of obedience, not impulse. As this message reaches others, allow it to travel. Like it so the algorithm carries it where warning and peace are both needed. Share it with someone who has felt unease around their home but could not explain why. Comment with what resonated most, because testimony strengthens discernment. And stay connected by subscribing, so you remain under the flow of what God continues to reveal through this channel. Hold your attention here, because what comes next will clarify how to maintain this protection long-term without strain or spiritual exhaustion. This is where everything you've sensed begins to make sense. God is not overwhelming you. He is equipping you. And Archangel Michael remains on assignment, watching closely as you step into a steadier, stronger authority. Beloved one, now the message settles into wisdom. Archangel Michael is guiding you beyond reaction and into rhythm, because lasting protection is sustained, not rushed. What God is establishing in your home is not a temporary shield, but a continual covering that grows stronger with time and awareness. There is a divine pattern at work here. Heaven always moves from warning to awareness to wisdom. You are now in that third movement. This is where you learn how to live protected without living tense, where vigilance no longer feels heavy, but natural, where peace becomes a default, not a reward. Archangel Michael is revealing that true safety flows from alignment, not effort. When your inner life aligns with God, your outer environment responds. This is why God has been drawing your attention inward just as much as outward. A guarded heart produces a guarded home. You may have noticed that your sensitivity has sharpened. You sense shifts sooner. You recognize when something feels off before it escalates. This is not anxiety. This is discernment maturing. Discernment does not shout, it nudges. And you are learning to listen without overreacting. God is teaching you to trust these nudges. Not every nudge requires confrontation. Some require adjustment. Some require prayer. Some require rest. Wisdom is knowing the difference, and heaven is teaching you gently. Archangel Michael is also reminding you that peace must be protected from overexposure. Constant input drains clarity. Endless noise dulls discernment. God is encouraging you to create quiet margins, especially within your home. Not isolation, but intentional stillness. Stillness is where clarity is renewed. Stillness is where instruction becomes clear. Stillness is where fear dissolves without argument. There is also a healing happening in how you carry responsibility. God is showing you that responsibility does not mean control. Control dines. Responsibility listened. Control exhausts. Responsibility partners. Heaven partners with those who carry responsibility lightly, trusting God to do what only He can. Archangel Michael stands with those who release what they were never meant to carry. You are allowed to let go of constant monitoring. You are allowed to sleep in peace. You are allowed to enjoy your home again. This is important. Joy strengthens protection. A joyless home, even if orderly, becomes vulnerable. Joy signals trust. Trust signals alignment. Alignment attracts heaven's presence. Presence establishes peace. God is restoring joy where seriousness lingered too long. Laughter, lightness. These are not distractions. They are reinforcements. You are also learning something about spiritual authority. Authority does not need to announce itself. It is recognized. When peace enters a room, it does not explain itself. It settles. That is the authority God is developing in you. Archangel Michael is reinforcing your confidence to stand without over-explaining your choices. Some changes you make will not need justification. Obedience often looks quiet from the outside but resounds loudly in the spiritual realm. There is also refinement of focus happening. God is helping you distinguish between what deserves your attention and what only seeks it. Not everything that demands energy deserves access. Discernment is learning what to ignore as much as what to address. This is especially important now, because distractions often arrive disguised as urgency. Heaven's urgency brings peace with it. Pressure does not. Learn to tell the difference. Peace accompanies God's instruction. Pressure accompanies interference. Archangel Michael is helping you recognize when to move and when to wait. Waiting is not an action when it is guided. Sometimes the strongest move is stillness under God's instruction. Your home is responding to this shift. You may feel it. A steadiness. A calm baseline. Even when challenges arise, they no longer dominate the atmosphere. That is protection functioning as designed. God is pleased with how you are responding. Not because you are flawless, but because you are teachable. Teachable hearts adapt quickly. Adaptation keeps environments healthy. As the message continues, something deeper will be revealed about timing and why this protection had to be established before the next phase of your life unfolds. What is coming requires a stable place to land, and God had been preparing that place carefully. Archangel Michael remains near, not because danger is imminent, but because purpose is approaching. Beloved child, what God is revealing now carries weight, because this is the turning point where protection becomes preparation. Archangel Michael is not only guarding what you have, he is making room for what is coming. Heaven never prepares space without purpose. Something is aligning, and your home needed to be secured before this alignment could fully unfold. There is a future moment God hath been planning that requires stability, clarity, and peace. That is why the warning came first. That is why the adjustments mattered. That is why timing felt urgent. Your home is meant to be a landing place for blessing, not a battleground for distraction. Archangel Michael is showing you that what was approaching was not only a danger, but a test of readiness. Not to see if you were perfect, but to see if you would listen. And you did. That response alone shifted outcomes you may never fully see on this side of eternity. God is now saying, you are ready to host what I am releasing. Hosting does not always mean people. Sometimes it means ideas. Sometimes it means peace. Sometimes it means answers that arrive quietly. Sometimes it means a season of growth that requires rest more than effort. Your home is being prepared for increase, and increase requires order. There is also a reminder here about stewardship. God protects what He entrusts, but He also entrusts what He protects. You have been faithful with what you were given, even when it felt heavy. Heaven has taken note. Archangel Michael is reinforcing something important. Do not rush ahead of peace. Even good things can become burdens if they arrive before alignment is complete. God's timing always feels calm, even when it is decisive. You may feel a sense of expectancy now. Not anxious anticipation, but quiet readiness. That is the sign that protection has settled properly. Fear leaves behind urgency. Peace leaves behind confidence. God is also closing certain cycles gently. Patterns that no longer serve you will fade without drama. Conversations that drained you will lose intensity. Distractions that once pulled your attention will no longer feel attractive. This is not loss. It is refinement. Archangel Michael is helping you recognize what belongs in the next season and what does not. Release does not always require confrontation. Sometimes it simply requires consent. When you stop feeding something attention, it loses influence. Your home is becoming a place of clarity. To see and feel easier. Rest feels deeper. Prayer feels more natural again. These are signs of alignment, not coincidence. God wants you to remember this moment. Not the fear, but the faith. Not the warning, but the wisdom that followed. Because this pattern will repeat in life. God warns, you respond, heaven adjusts outcomes. This is how partnership with heaven works. Type I receive divine order in the comments if this message has settled in your spirit. Blessing code 6381 is now activated. And now, hear this carefully as the message flows into an invitation that matters deeply. What you are experiencing here is not accidental. These messages reach people at critical moments where awareness prevents harm and peace restores direction. This is how God moves through willing vessels and faithful platforms. I hear the Lord saying, those who help release this word will share in its covering. When you support this work through super thanks, membership, or PayPal using the link in the description, you are not funding content. You are fueling protection. You are helping light reach homes that are standing at the edge of uncertainty. Just as seed placed in good soil multiplies, your support multiplies impact beyond what you can see. I declare that every giver receives peace in their dwelling, clarity in decisions, and divine reinforcement in unseen battles. Do not hesitate if the Spirit is nudging you. This is not a transaction. It is obedience in motion. Act now, and let your support become a prophetic response that releases blessing back into your own home. Beloved one, now that order has been established, God begins to speak about endurance. Archangel Michael remains present, not because something is wrong, but because what is right must be maintained. Protection is strongest when it becomes part of daily life, not a response to crisis. Heaven is teaching you how to live from stability instead of cycling back into urgency. There is a subtle shift happening within you. You are no longer reacting to every signal. You are discerning. You are no longer bracing for impact. You are standing with confidence. This is not numbness. It is maturity. God is pleased with this posture because it allows peace to lead instead of fear. Archangel Michael is revealing that the greatest threats lose power when they are no longer your focus. Attention is currency in the spiritual realm. What you constantly focus on gains influence. What you acknowledge and then release loses its hold. God is teaching you how to acknowledge wisely without feeding anxiety. You may notice that challenges still arise, but they do not settle the way they used to. They knock, but they are not invited in. They attempt to linger, but the atmosphere does not accommodate them. That is because your home now carries a different frequency. Peace had been established as law. God wants you to understand something important here. Peace is not passive. Peace is enforced by alignment. When your thoughts align with truth, when your words align with faith, when your actions align with wisdom, peace becomes dominant. It does not need to fight. It governs. Archangel Michael is helping you recognize when something tries to disrupt that governance. Not so you panic, but so you respond calmly. Calm responses disarm escalation. Calm authority ends cycles quickly. There is also a strengthening of trust happening. Trust in God's timing. Trust in your discernment. Trust that not everything requires your intervention. Some things resolve simply because they no longer find resistance inside you. Resistance often feeds struggle. Peace starves it. God is also reminding you that rest is not optional in this season. Rest is strategic. A rested mind hears clearly. A rested spirit responds wisely. Exhaustion blurs discernment, but rest sharpens it. Archangel Michael stands guard as you learn to rest without guilt. You are not falling behind when you pause. You are preserving clarity. God does not rush those He is guiding steadily. Your home is now functioning as it was meant to. A place where you reset, not recharge from chaos. A place where you hear God clearly, not strain to sense Him. A place where joy can surface naturally. There is also a message here about longevity. God is not preparing you for a short burst of peace. He is preparing you for sustained stability. That is why the lessons have been layered. Each layer reinforces the next. You are learning how to respond early instead of late. Early responses require less energy and bring better outcomes. That is wisdom gained through obedience. Archangel Michael is also stepping back slightly, not leaving, but allowing you to stand confidently. This is a sign of growth. Heaven does not hover over those who have learned to walk securely. Assistance remains available, but authority is now exercised naturally through you. God is proud of your willingness to adjust. Many ignore warnings. Many resist change. You leaned in. That choice altered more than you know. You may soon notice opportunities opening that require calm decision-making. Doors that need wisdom, not haste. Conversations that need clarity, not emotion. Because your home is stable, you will be able to step into these moments without inner conflict. This is why protection came first. Stability distorts opportunity. Stability sustains it. God is also reassuring you that you do not need to constantly review what happened. Reflection brought wisdom. Now release brings peace. You have learned what you needed to learn. You do not need to relive the warning to stay protected. Archangel Michael is affirming that vigilance now looks like awareness, not worry. Awareness listens. Worry anticipates. One is rooted in trust, the other in fear. You are choosing trust. As this message continues to unfold, the final stages will speak about completion and sealing, how God closes what was opened, and how He marks what had been protected. What began as a warning will end as a confirmation of covering. Remain present. What is coming next brings closure in the most peaceful way possible. Beloved child, this is where God begins to seal understanding into wisdom you can live with every day. Archangel Michael is still present, but now his role feels quieter, steadier, because what needed urgent attention has been addressed. What remains is reinforcement, the kind that allows you to move forward without constantly looking back. God is showing you that protection is not meant to keep you frozen in awareness of danger. It is meant to free you to live fully again. When heaven secures a place, it does so to release movement, not restriction. Your home was stabilized so your life could expand. There is a temptation, after moments of warning, to remain on high alert indefinitely. God is gently correcting that instinct. He is saying, you do not need to guard what I am already guarding with you. Hypervigilance drains joy. Trust restores it. And trust is what he is building now. Archangel Michael is teaching you how to recognize the difference between discernment and suspicion. Discernment listens and responds when needed. Suspicion constantly scans and never rests. One is guided by peace. The other is driven by fear. God is leading you away from the second and grounding you firmly in the first. You are also being taught how to carry authority lightly. Heavy authority becomes control. Light authority becomes influence. When your spirit is settled, your words carry more weight with less effort. That is the kind of authority heaven trusts. Your home now reflects this shift. It is no longer reacting to every external pressure. It is responding selectively, wisely. Peace has become the filter. If something disrupts peace without purpose, it no longer gains access. This is not avoidance. This is wisdom. God is also reminding you that protection does not mean isolation. Some people withdraw too far after moments of warning. But God is not calling you to close off. He is calling you to remain open with discernment. Open to connection, but guarded in alignment. Open to growth, but anchored in peace. Archangel Michael reinforces boundaries, not walls. Boundaries allow healthy movement. Walls restrict life. Heaven builds boundaries around you so you can live freely within them. You may find yourself more confident in making decisions now. Less second-guessing. Less over-explaining. This is a sign that fear has loosened its grip. Confidence rooted in peace is different from confidence rooted in ego. One listens before acting. The other rushes. God is forming the first within you. There is also something being restored in how you relate to time. Earlier, everything felt urgent. Now, urgency has given way to clarity. When God is in control, time no longer feels like an enemy. You move at the pace of obedience, not anxiety. Archangel Michael is affirming that you are not behind. The warning did not come because you were late. It came because you were trusted. Trusted to hear. Trusted to respond. Trusted to adjust. As this message reaches more people, allow it to move beyond you. Like it so it reaches those whose homes are sensing shifts they cannot yet explain. Share it with someone who has felt unease but lacked language for it. Comment with what confirmed peace for you, because your voice helps others recognize their own moment of awareness. And make sure you stay connected by subscribing, because this channel is part of how God continues to speak protection, clarity, and direction into lives that need it. Stay with this message a little longer, because what comes next brings the final understanding of why the season unfolded the way it did. This is where everything connects, and you will see that nothing about this process was random. God does not interrupt life without purpose. He intervenes to redirect it gently. And Archangel Michael stands as witness that this redirection was not about danger alone. but about destiny being protected from subtle delay. What remains now is completion. Not in fear, not in tension, but in peace that knows it is covered. Beloved one, now the message moves into its final stage of clarity. What began as a warning has matured into wisdom, and what felt urgent has transformed into assurance. Archangel Michael remains near, not as a watchman scanning for danger, but as a witness to what has been secured. This is the phase where heaven confirms that the work is holding. God wants you to understand something deeply now. Nothing that was revealed was meant to create fear in you. It was meant to awaken stewardship. And stewardship, once embraced, produces peace that does not depend on circumstances. You may notice that your thoughts no longer return to the original concern the way they once did. The sharpness has softened. The tension has eased. This is not because you forgot, but because resolution has taken place at a level deeper than emotion. When God resolves something, the soul rests even before the mind fully understands why. Archangel Michael is affirming that the perimeter around your home is not just repaired, it is reinforced. Reinforced by your awareness. Reinforced by your choices. Reinforced by your willingness to listen instead of dismiss. Heaven builds with those materials. There is also something important happening internally. You are learning how to trust peace as guidance. Many people trust urgency more than peace because urgency feels active. But peace is often the clearest indicator of God's will. God is training you to follow peace without needing dramatic signs. This is a significant shift. It marks spiritual maturity. God is also speaking about identity now. You are not someone who narrowly avoided harm. You are someone who responded to instruction. A difference matters. One identity carries lingering fear. The other carries confidence. Heaven wants you rooted in the second. Archangel Michael does not patrol homes marked by confidence the same way he patrols those marked by fear. Confidence does not invite interference. Fear does. And your home has transitioned from one posture to the other. You may feel a renewed sense of ownership over your space. Not possessiveness, but stewardship. A quiet knowing that what happens within these walls matters. That atmosphere matters. That words matter. That presence matters. This is not pressure. It is dignity. God is also gently reminding you that not every season will require this level of intervention. Some seasons are simply for living, for enjoying, for building without interruption. You are entering one of those stretches now. That does not mean you forget what you learn. It means you carry it lightly, like wisdom in your pocket, not armor on your chest. Archangel Michael stands down when a lesson is integrated. That is what is happening. Integration. What was external instruction has become internal posture. There is also a reassurance here for your future. If God spoke this clearly once, He will do it again if needed. You are not on your own now or later. This experience has not increased your vulnerability. It has increased your sensitivity to God's voice. God is pleased with how you listened without spiraling, how you adjusted without panicking, how you stayed present instead of running ahead in imagination. That restraint is powerful. Heaven trusts restraint. Your home is now quieter in the spirit. Not empty, but settled. Settled places become places where God speaks softly, because He does not need to shout to be heard. You may also notice that your prayers feel simpler now. Less explaining, less urgency, more trust. This is a sign that alignment has taken root. When alignment is strong, prayer becomes conversation instead of petition. Archangel Michael is affirming that no residue from what was approaching has remained. Nothing followed through the door. Nothing attached to your peace. Nothing lingered unseen. What was revealed was addressed fully. God is now sealing this chapter not with intensity, but with assurance. Assurance that your home is watched. Assurance that your discernment is active. Assurance that your response matters. As the message prepares to close, there is one final movement remaining. A sealing not just of protection, but of blessing. A confirmation that what was guarded will now be fruitful. That what was stabilized will now grow. Remain present for that final word. What comes next is not a warning at all. It is a release. Beloved child, this is the moment of sealing. What began with urgency now concludes with authority and peace. Archangel Michael stands as witness, not to danger, but to completion. Heaven does not leave assignments unfinished, and what God initiated through warning, He now confirms through blessing. God is speaking clearly now. Your home has been marked for preservation and fruitfulness. What was secured will now be sustained. What was guarded will now grow. This is the divine order. Protection first, then increase. Nothing about this journey was wasted. Every moment of awareness refined you. Every adjustment strengthened your foundation. Archangel Michael is not withdrawing. He is repositioning. His stance shifts from defense to confirmation. That means heaven has acknowledged your obedience and responded with reinforcement that does not require constant attention. Peace no longer needs to be fought for here. It has been established as law. God wants you to hear this deeply. The threat has passed, but the lesson remains. Not as fear, but as wisdom. You do not need to relive the alert to stay protected. You only need to remain aligned. Alignment is lighter than vigilance and stronger than effort. Your home now carries a testimony in the spiritual realm. A testimony that says, "This place listens. This place responds. This place honors instruction." That kind of testimony attracts blessing and repels interference naturally. Archangel Michael confirms that nothing unseen is lingering. Nothing has been allowed to attach. Nothing followed the awareness into this new season. The door that needed closing is closed. The gate that needed guarding is guarded. The atmosphere that needed order has been ordered. God is now inviting you to live fully again. To enjoy your space without scanning. To rest without replaying. To build without bracing. The season of alertness has done its work. Now comes the season of fruitfulness. There is a peace being released over your household that does not depend on circumstances. Even if life brings challenges, they will not destabilize what has been secured. Stability hath been rooted deeper than emotion. It has been anchored in obedience. God is also releasing clarity for the future. Decisions ahead will feel cleaner. Direction will feel calmer. You will notice that confusion no longer lingers the way it once did. This is a sign that discernment has matured. Archangel Michael affirms that you are no longer in a reactive posture. You are in a governing one. Governing does not mean controlling outcomes. It means maintaining alignment while God handles what you cannot see. This is the blessing of obedience, peace without explanation. Take this moment seriously, because sealing moments matter. Heaven marks endings just as intentionally as beginnings. What is sealed now does not reopen unless invited, and you are not inviting it back. God is smiling over your response. Not because you understood everything perfectly, but because you trusted enough to act. Heaven always responds to trust. Type "I am sealed" and protected in the comments if you receive this word with faith. Blessing code 4529 is now released and activated over your home and household. This message did not end with you by accident. It continued because there are others whose homes are still sensing unease, still waiting for clarity, still standing at the edge of awareness. God moves through willing hands to reach them. I hear the Lord saying, those who help carry this word will share the harvest of peace it produces. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal using the link in the description, you are not donating. You are responding prophetically. You are helping light reach doors that are still closed in confusion. Just as oil keeps the lamp burning, your support keeps these messages flowing to those who need warning, wisdom, and covering. I declare that every person who gives in obedience will see peace multiply in their home, provision align without strain, and protection strengthen in unseen ways. Do not delay what the Spirit is prompting now. Act with confidence. Support this work with authority. Let your giving become the final seal on what God has spoken, because when you help spread His word, heaven ensures that your own house remains covered, settled, and blessed.